Well, now we get to learn about a state-of-the-art, unique situation. It is Grand Lakes Pediatric Rehab and Sensory Gym. And tell us more about it, we have Bethany Graham. She is a therapist at the Grand Lake Pediatric Rehab Center. Then we have Krista Fry, the office manager there. And so thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so this facility sounds really unique. Like, you don't hear about this very often. Is it so?
Absolutely. We're actually the second facility in the state of Ohio to have the sensory gym that we have. We teamed up with a company called the Fun Factory Sensory Gym. They actually go nationwide installing these type of gyms in facilities and in homes. So we're lucky enough to have one in our area here.
So tell us more. Why is this different? It's for kids, I assume, right? That's what it's geared for?
Yes.
Yes. So the company that put it in, he had a son that actually had some sensory processing difficulties. And so when you have children that have sensory processing difficulties, they have a hard time processing that input of information or being able to output that information. So sometimes those children might walk into a room that's really noisy, or there's a lot of crowds going on, or even there's just that slight humming that constantly goes on. And that child can't process that information, and that's when we kind of have those outbursts and those breakdowns, and those children don't know how to self-calm their body. So a sensory gym is built so that you can target how to input and output sensory information. So it's designed with things like crash mats for those kids that need that deep, hard crash to be able to output some of that information and also get that input feeling. It's built to have things like monkey bars that are used to get that feeling through your arms, and a little bit more OT related with some of that. They have things like slides, and we have several different types of swings so that we can work on that calming input or even that back and forth feeling to help calm them down.
It sounds like you're kind of using a little bit of play to make them feel safe and to get what they need.
Yes. And it's a lot of education to the families too, because a lot of times families will say, we're going to just go to the park and let them run and play. But teaching them in this environment where we have all these different techniques to use for that sensory information and teach the parents how to effectively use it instead of letting them just run wild or swing and spin. We have to teach them that back and forth calming motion to help keep their body in check and bring that calm to their body.
So I assume that there's a need in this area for this kind of thing then.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Our pediatric population has grown over 100% in the last 2 years, and it continues to grow. So when we offer occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy in this clinic. So there's definitely a high need in the area.
I assume you're helping children that, you get a screening or you find out that they might be a little bit delayed or behind in an area and help them to catch up. Is that kind of the things that you can do with the physical and occupational and speech therapy?
Yes. So I'm actually one of the speech language pathologists that work here, and I work closely with the occupational therapist and with the physical therapist. So typically a child might go to one of their well checks, maybe their 18-month or their 2-year well check, and the parents are going, I'm just not really thinking that this is following developmental patterns, or I'm having some concerns with this. Or even the physician looks and goes, I see a couple things. Let's go ahead and just get them evaluated by therapy. Let's send them there. And then they can give you some recommendations, whether that be we pick them up for therapy and we start it right then, or we say, here's some things to go try at home. In the next 6 months, if you don't see this develop, then come back to us and we'll maybe start some treatment then. And then also a lot of times, like speech therapy, we'll get the referrals because the child just isn't talking. And then we'll go, I have some attention concerns, or I have some concerns for a sensory processing disorder, or I see a little bit of physical things that really aren't clicking at an age that it should be. And then we can help connect with the doctor's office and say, can we also get occupational therapy on board, or can we also get physical therapy on board?
Mm-hmm. So I assume you've seen great strides and wonderful stories when you get kids that come through the rehab center or even try out the sensory gym that just make families so much happier.
So actually, we've been doing therapy here at the hospital for quite some time, but we were just kind of in a little corner of the hospital tucked into these small rooms. As we've continued to grow, we got a little too full, and that's where we looked at branching out and taking over a doctor's office and building it to be our own facility. So we have a lot of these families that we've been seeing for a while that have followed us into this new building. And actually, my first patient experience was a family that was with me in the hospital. And we went over to the new facility for our first session, and the mom started crying in our session. And she came to a point where she said, we've done therapy other places and we've worked with other therapists. And she said, the thing about you guys is you care about these children. And then she just started crying and she was like, I can't thank you guys enough. And to have this facility to be able to do the things you need to do for my children is phenomenal.
It's very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
I bet it is. So, Krista, do you have to have a referral to come, or can you self-referral? How can you get your child some help maybe from you guys?
You do not. So for physical and occupational therapy, you can self-refer. We have what's called direct access laws for those two disciplines. So you can self-refer. One thing we do check is most times insurance will pay if there's not a physician referral, and sometimes they don't. So if you do self-refer, then we check their insurance for them just to make sure that they do not need a doctor's referral. Unfortunately for speech, they don't have those direct access laws yet, so they do require referral for speech therapy. So
wow.
We do have, though, if you have some concerns as a parent and you want to call in and possibly set up a screen for us to look at the child for a quick 15-minute screen, and then if we can say, this is something you might want to seek, getting the referral from your physician, we can do that as well.
Wow. It sounds like exciting things happening for kids in our area. Thank you both very much for sharing today.
no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, don't go away. Need Edition continues in a moment.